It's Chris, welcome to my channel. Today I'm doing Leetcode problem 682 baseball game. Alright, so you is doing this with JavaScript and it is an easy problem. It says you're keeping the scores for a baseball game with strange rules. At the beginning of the game, you start with an empty record. You were given a list of strings, operations, where operations at I is the ith operation you must apply to the record and is one of the following. An integer, x, record a new score of x, plus record a new score that is the sum of the previous two scores. D, record a new score that is double of the previous score, and C, invalidate the previous score, removing it from the record. Return the sum of all scores and record after applying the operations. Okie dokie. So, let's grab this input and output here, move over to code pen. I made this mistake earlier. This should actually be operations, not ops. Let's create a function. We gotta cut this out too. And then as long as the console, we'll see undefined because we're not returning anything. Cool. All right, so how can we do this? Well, first thing we're going to do is we're going to create a empty array called score. Now we're going to loop through operations. I'm going to use the map method because why not? And create a variable car. And just to kind of show you something here, I'm going to also include the index. So if we console.log car and I, we should see each character and each index, and we do. Okay, so my initial thought was this. Basically just create an if, else if statement to handle each one of these characters, C, D, plus D and C, right? These are the only three. Yeah, right, and then there's an integer. Right, so we're going to do an if statement that looks for these characters, and then an else statement that just says if none of these, we just push the number into score. So initially I thought, well, you know, you could just, if we get a plus, right, we can just say at score, you know, do like this. So score at I minus 1 plus score at I minus 2, right? So that would be getting the previous two values in score and adding them together, and then of course, you know, we push that into the score, right? So yeah, if we see that if we see the plus, this is what we would do. The problem with that is this C, right? So if we come across a C, we're just going to be removing the previous value. That means that upon the next iteration of our loop, I is going to increment, but score no longer is going to have that previous value. So it's going to be off. So what we need to do instead is we need to create a separate pointer. And I'll just call it J for simplicity. We'll set that to 0. Now what we can do is we can say, right, so I'll just get into it and that'll make sense. So now we can say if car equals plus, right, we can say score dot push score at J minus 1 plus score at J minus 2, and then we can increment J, right? I'm just going to copy all of this. Now we're going to have an else if statement. So now we're going to say D. If we have D, we want double the previous score, so we can just get rid of that. It's 2, right? And then one more else if this equals C. Then we use the pop method to get rid of the last element of score. And this time, we're going to decrement J by 1, right? So that next time around, if we get like one of these, right, it's going to look at, there's going to be an element here, right? Whereas if we were to use I, or we didn't decrement that, there would be no element here in score. Finally, we can just say else score dot push. Use the number keyword because they're strings. We need numbers. Number car. Okay? And then simply, well, before we go any further, let's return score. Let's see what we get. Ooh, that's not what we want. First of all, we don't need this. What did I do wrong here? Score dot push J minus 1 plus score J minus 2 J. Oh, you got to increment here. That's what we want. Okay, so our output is 27. So basically that's just adding all these together. So we have 5 minus 2 is 3, minus 4 is negative 1, plus 9 is 8, plus 5 is 13, plus 14 is 27. Cool. So we can here just use the reduce method. Give it a sum and num. And so that every time around in this loop, and then we give it an initial value of 0. And then we just say sum plus equals num. But one thing we need to do, see we see undefined, is whenever you use reduce, you always need to return this. That's kind of a gotcha with reduce. And there you go, we got 27. All right, let's grab our code. Let's paste it in Leetcode. Run the test. Let's submit. That was faster last time. We'll try submitting again. Okay, there you go. That's what I wanted to see. Cool. Alright, so that's a efficient algorithm and it works. Hopefully you found this video helpful and enjoyable. If you did, please like it. It helps my channel grow. If you'd like to see more like these, please like and subscribe to my channel, and I hope to see you again real soon.